Right, cool, yeah. Sweet. Enjoy that. Bon appetit.
Hey. Yeah.
Okay, are we starting?
I guess, isn't it?
Okay, guys, well, welcome back to... I don't even need to get in a mic like that. Why am I doing that?
We're creeping all over it. Like,
hello! I'm not coughing.
You guys.
I can't say that. But yes,
stress out.
this is episode 3 of In Fact Chat.
Boom. We still don't know which the best sound is, so we're not going to press any of the buttons. But it's
Can I say hi? I'm Amelia Bowams.
I am Lemzi, that's Lemzi, and today we have a very special guest. Yeah. For the whole show, we definitely can't do our own sound effects. So
No.
That would have been lit.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Lesia, Swagger Lesia in the building.
Jeez. I feel like we should experiment real quick. Let's just see.
Oh, God.
No, that was the wrong one.
That was the best one to use
No,
as
that
well.
was-
We got Swag Leash in the
No.
building.
You failed. That's probably something we should do at the beginning, you know.
Yeah, we should really test these out first. And not like,
But
We get
before that, I would
comfortable.
like to shout out to Ray Nephews.
Getting us
It's finished.
started.
Why is it finished, Amelia?
Why is it finished, Lemzi?
Why is it finished,
Look,
Amelia?
firstly, I'm drinking red wine.
Why is it finished, Leisha?
I didn't even get to taste
First of
it.
all,
Why
I've been
is it
drinking red
finished?
wine, so the question is aimed back
This
at
red
you.
wine that no one can see. Like, what's going on? You lot are lying.
You've been
So-
on the Ray.
Ray,
I've
if you
been
would like
on
to
the
send
Ray.
me and Leisha out some Ray, then that would be lovely.
I
Because
think Ray and Neff know who to send it.
we didn't. I bought juice and no Ray.
Clearly.
Anyway,
to. Say less.
Moving on.
Say less, innit?
Right.
Say less.
okay, you pick a card and we'll just do a little bit of an icebreaker.
Oh,
All right.
Nice questions, and we're all gonna answer it. So it's-
Oh, are we?
yeah,
sounds
Oh,
fun.
okay.
small.
Now,
Okay, this is an
now you're
interesting one.
scared.
Are you ready?
No,
'Cause
I'm
you do have
joking,
to
yeah.
start in it.
Okay.
Think of someone you admire. Without naming them, can you describe what impresses you about them?
Okay.
He wears a corduroy shirt.
Oh, shut up.
I like how humble they are, how they like to give back. I love that they take a lot of their fashion off the runway and make it look great. And they've done a lot for women.
Love that.
Also a musician, but dabbles in quite a few other things, which I admire because that's something I want to do in the future.
And we're going to get into that.
Yeah. Am I allowed to guess who that was?
Yeah, I guess.
Rihanna.
Oh yeah. Do you know what?
My
In my head, I was thinking,
girl.
I have no idea.
Really? No, oh my
No,
God.
but yeah.
Rihanna's
Oh,
a
yes.
champion, so yes. Of course.
Rihanna.
Let's
Rihanna's
big her up,
definitely
innit?
one of
Trying to
my
say, Rihanna's a
inspirational
Pisces.
women. Love her.
Love her. She's a
Okay,
Pisces
sick.
as well. So basically, we're like sisters.
What does that mean?
Because I'm a Pisces. So I'm
She a
just saying.
fish.
Is that so? They're just fishes, basically. Amelia and Rihanna are fishes.
No, but look at Rihanna, and that's
Yeah,
about
Just
it.
free
fair
flow,
enough.
just
yeah,
free.
that- yeah, winning.
Yeah.
All right, that's something to aim for. So cool. I want to be a Pisces then.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Being a Gemini's, you know.
Isn't it? Yeah,
We've got
we're
two
Gemini
Geminis
gang.
in the building, innit?
Jeez, come on.
Oh God, dear God, get me out of here, man.
I'm
All I
always
know is
plugging
that,
in
like,
my like Gemini. I'm always
I
like,
always
yeah,
see the
hi,
necklace.
Gemini
you know?
in the room.
necklace is strong. I
No,
like
the necklace
it.
is
All I know is that
strong.
we're like the most hated
Yeah.
star sign. That's all I
No,
know.
you're not.
The
You're not
most
That's what it feels
misunderstood.
like.
Misunderstood. I think
Yeah, that's what it
Scorpios are
feels
probably the
like.
most hated star
think?
sign. I think.
I don't know.
And Sagittarius, the
Yeah.
S's.
Oh, Sagittarius.
See,
Yes,
look,
get
there we
out of
go.
here, man.
Let's
What's,
talk about
when's
it.
their birthday? What's that one?
Oh, they are
They're the
late
end of the year.
late November, early December. I know that.
Late November,
I feel
early
like it's,
December.
yeah, it's like Sag season at the moment,
It is.
basically.
It is.
Don't
Never upset
Sagittarius, isn't
anybody.
it?
Yeah.
Big them up. Wow.
I think Geminis can override Sagittarius. Though that's what it is. Like it depends on you with
Okay.
them. So maybe as a Pisces, it's like
Yeah,
as well,
it's just too
like,
much. Like we're
No,
water
no, no.
signs and they are fire signs.
Okay.
I think.
I know I'm air. We're air signs.
Yeah, so
That's
they're
what I know.
fire signs. So water and fire, what's that? It's not
That
really
sounds like a
happening.
big bit of collision.
It's not happening.
One is extinguishing the other. Either you're
You know what I
steam
mean?
or you're just something's
exactly.
going on.
It
innit?
ain't good.
So,
It's not
yeah.
good. Mix match. Yes. Sorry, my words. It's the wine.
It's the wine. Okay. Do we wanna answer that ourselves, or let's just get into
No,
it?
I just care about Lesia.
Yeah,
I don't really,
exactly.
we spoke before,
Well, you don't
innit?
care about me.
Oh my gosh, guys.
I'm actually even gonna sit like this.
No,
I think
stop it. You guys are funny.
No.
In the first episode, we revealed that I wasn't even on your friends list like that.
You were in the inner big up Samira.
No,
Who's
no.
on the camera again there. You were in the inner circle.
No. The way
Remember, the inner circle.
your body language was like, wow, shit. Okay, let me lie.
I was just
let
adjusting
me lie.
myself to make sure I presented
'Cause I
myself
asked him
to
where
one of
was
my
I in.
good friends properly. If I was bare like, yeah, we're friends, you feel disrespected. But I had to be like,
Well,
talk straight into the microphone, eye contact a little bit. Just a little
Well.
bit. I was a bit scared, I'll be real.
Next question.
Is that-
Okay, let's go.
moving on swiftly.
Moving on. Anyway,
Yeah,
right,
moving
cool.
on, moving on.
Lesia,
Yes.
let's talk about your journey into music.
Okay.
And you as the younger Lesia, and your kind of journey into actually like finding yourself in music. How was that?
So, to be honest, my love for music started quite early on in my life. So, my mum used to make music. My dad is a hip hop head. So I grew up listening to like a lot of hip hop, even though my mum didn't like it because she's like, no swearing. Like, I don't want my daughter listening to it. But my dad's still like, oh, Tupac, we're going to listen to it. So, I
He
just
says
grew,
a
yeah,
lot.
do you know what I mean? I grew up just loving music. But then I had kind of my mum who liked to listen to a lot of soul. So that Lauryn Hill, Erykah Badu. So I grew up having those sounds around me. So those were the kind of the sounds that I gravitated to when I was younger. And when I started writing in primary school. So yeah, those were like my first tunes I started playing around with, but I was more singing than rapping at that moment in time. And then when I hit secondary school, I started listening to a lot of grime. So I found grime just really fun. Like I loved the skippy flows, I loved the beats. So that's when I started playing around with that kind of stuff. And I kind of left the singing for a little bit. I was doing it in school, but it was more like showcase type things. And that's when I started singing like the Ed Sheeran songs, like a little bit of, what's it, Valerie?
Valerie.
Winehouse. Yeah, Amy
Amy
Winehouse.
Winehouse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Come
So
on now.
I was singing those kind of tunes,
Yeah.
but then doing rapping in my own time. But yeah, the people that I went to school with weren't really feeling it that much. It was a bit like, okay, she's trying to rap, but we don't know what's kind of going on here. Because I grew up in Chinkford, so they weren't really
Inside.
used to that. Do you know what I mean?
Can I ask you a question? On reflection, were you actually good?
I think I was good. When I look back at my videos, I don't think I was a crap artist. Or I feel like I had bars, definitely, when I go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
I just feel like I've improved now. But with me, my music has changed a lot over time, and I feel like now I've really found my sound. But you can definitely hear, I think, all the influences that I've had throughout time. Because, as I said, I grew up like listening to soul, but then I grew up listening to hip hop, but then I also love a bit of Ed Sheeran. So I can really tap into all those different sounds now. I can sit on a piano and make like a ballad if I wanted to, but then I can also make a grime tune, I can also make a hip hop tune. So
Yeah.
But that's an interesting question though, because what would you say is a good rapper? Because in my head, I personally think it's the content for me, and I think that comes with age and experience.
100%,
So obviously,
yeah.
when you're in primary school, like what? You're just
Well,
gonna be
that's why I'm
copying other
asking, innit?
people's
That's why
experiences.
I'm wondering, because if I look, was I rapping really in primary school? No. Secondary school, yeah, a bit. And was I good? No. My thing was delivery more than anything, innit? Like I could say certain things and I could put words together, but I look at myself and think, like I wouldn't be impressed now if I listened to what I did, what I was aspiring to do. I'd be like, yeah, because obviously that's where I'm at now. So I guess it's probably similar for you as well. Innit?
do you know what, like it's interesting when I look back on my old music, because a lot of it is me like foreshadowing, I feel like, the life that I'm living now. Like there's a freestyle I made which you can actually find on YouTube, that's called The Fame.
Jeez.
And it's literally me talking about like when I'm 18, will I still love pink? When I'm 21, will I have a career? Because my daddy once told me that life ain't fair and I really want to make it in the industry, but has the industry got space for me? But it's like I'm looking back on it now, and these are the things where I was like 14 thinking about, when I'm 21, am I going to be doing this? When I'm 23, am I going to be doing this? And it's interesting to be here now, and it's like, wow, I've actually achieved the stuff I was rapping about when I was 15, dreaming about
Manifesting
it.
without even
Yeah,
knowing.
like,
innit?
it's
That's
crazy.
literal manifestation right there in front of you. That's amazing, man.
I
No,
wrote
but-
bars when I was in school, and they were rubbish. No, but I actually remember them. Me and my friend used to be like, wanna be just like me. Too many girls wanna be like me. That's me. I am the MC, best MC in the industry. I'm not.
I feel like
But them
if you,
flows, you would have gone
yo,
away with
innit?
them flows back
Everyone
in the day.
had to have. It was like a
Listen.
prerequisite of being in secondary school. Like
But
you
why
needed to
were
have
we
some
all,
bars.
like, basically, yeah, you had to write bars.
Yeah, no,
Some
you had
bars.
to.
You're sitting in your rooms like, right. You got bars.
Trust
okay,
me.
yeah, cool. But like, SMC
Because
in the industry,
grime was so integral for
Yeah,
like
yeah,
us
yeah.
growing up.
definitely.
We won't go into the love of grime that we probably all have in it, but
Yeah, it was the
I think that's
energy
the
of
thing
it.
that-
Everyone
exactly,
just wanted
everyone
to
was like-
jump on
and
it.
it was just so accessible because it's like all of a sudden you didn't have to have a big flashy music video or talk
Yeah.
about money.
Yeah, no,
You just had
for
to be
real.
like,
Music
yo,
videos back in the day.
fam,
Channel U.
Exactly, like, come on, it just made me. Oh yeah, I recognize that guy.
No, for
Like,
real.
All they-
Let
they
me
just
do
use,
that.
like, 50 man all on one screen.
One
like,
block, just-
and the thing is, they'll have like
Have a
2 bars
tracksuit.
each.
Yeah, exactly. Just wear your tracksuit.
Like
calm
on the
film.
block.
That's it.
On the block. You think I care about
Literally.
even a
Do you know what's
that?
funny?
What?
I saw that video just
Freestyle.
a couple of weeks ago and on the block, and I was like, wow, this was inspirational at one point.
Oh, I
like
love
looking at
it.
it now, I'm like, okay, things have obviously progressed in
Yeah.
it, but at a time it was like we need to be like this or get to this point in it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, man, it's mad how like time kind of travels with music, especially in terms of like you at school and everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially primary into secondary school. Did you feel that music was really an integral thing for you, or were you like very academic focused?
Definitely music and drama. So I've always had a love and passion for music and drama. So I was in my primary school choir, but I was never on the front line. I was kind of always in the back because I've always been a bit like shy or whatever. So yeah, it was definitely a big part. I was in drama clubs. I knew that it was like rooted in me, and that's why as soon as I hit secondary school, like all my extra curriculum was music, drama. My dad got me a piano. Like I can't read sheet music, but if you teach me how to play a song, I'll know how to play it. So I used to like sit and write my own songs on it. So it's definitely something I've always known I wanted to do, but just my angle with it's kind of always changed. At one point in my life when I was younger, I wanted to be a songwriter. So write songs for other people. I didn't necessarily think I would be the person on the front line because I didn't see that for myself at first. And I think it was when I moved to my second secondary school and people heard me barring and they were like, what? Like you're actually sick? And that's when people started gassing me up. And then they were like, you need to get into the studio with this. And I think that's the first time I got into the studio and I made my tune called Gassed and everyone was...
Jeez, gassing
was
you up. for a
yeah,
tune.
yeah.
Come on, innit?
Saw me on Facebook, so you got gassed.
Hey.
Listen, it was a funny tune. It was just one of those funny tunes. But it was one of those ones where I'd be in like Walthamstow, McDonald's, and people be like, "Oh my God,
That's
I
a
heard your tune."
bait McDonald's,
And
you
I
know.
was like-
Like, you're getting spotted there. That's
Yeah,
good, you know. I mean,
yeah.
you must have felt like, yo, I made it, you know.
like Walthamstow celeb.
Yo,
E17.
that's bait. I mean, I probably
Yeah.
saw you at some point, like, yeah, I heard your tune. Like, oh, that's mad.
So I think that's when I kind of had a gear switch and was like, okay, maybe music could be like a good thing, but I was still using it as a coping mechanism as well, because in my first school I'd got bullied, so I spent a lot of time like expressing myself through music, and a lot of the things I used to go through I'll just put that in my tunes, and that's solely what I was using music for. But then when I moved to the school and everyone was like loving it, that's when I was like, okay, maybe I should get into the studio. Other people might want to hear what I have to say. And then it's when I went to college, I went to a performing arts college where I had to do interdisciplinary arts, so I did dance, music and acting. So that's when I started tapping into the singing a lot more, because I had to train my voice, obviously doing performing arts, and that's when I realized, okay, the singing thing is working a little bit. People started gassing the singing a little bit more. They were like, oh, so you can rap and you can sing, okay.
Triple threat.
You've literally like fluctuated throughout the years, isn't it? Where it was singing, then it was a bit of grime, so you MCing, and then going into college back to sing. Like it's kind of come up and down.
It's been up. It's been a very like up and down. That's why my music has always been like, sometimes you hear me barring, sometimes you just hear me singing. And I think it's now when I hit university, that's when I was like, okay, I made my song Roll With Me, where I found the clean balance with melodic rap, basically the soulful rap, and then finding the beats that would aid that sound.
Yeah.
And now I've really found like that middle ground of it, where every song I make now, I'm like, okay, I've got bars, but then I'm also going to give you melodies, and I kind of don't just do one on a tune anymore.
I think that's dope. Do you have a preference?
I personally prefer to sing.
Okay.
I do. I think I've always preferred singing, but I just wasn't always that strong at it, so I didn't always give it my wally, if you know what I mean, because it wasn't like I felt like I was a better barrer than I was a singer. And I've had situations where people have told me that as well. Like I auditioned for The Voice a couple times just before I went on to Rap Game, actually, like the year before. And I got in front of the producers, but they were like, you're a better rapper than you are a singer. And I think that's why I then applied for Rap Game to see, okay, if people think this, let me try see if the rap works. And then it did. But then I felt like my experience on Rap Game, I was also able to showcase my singing abilities, where I don't know if I would have got an equal chance to show both if I'd gone on The Voice. So I'm happy of the platform that I decided to go and showcase myself on. You
made a good decision.
But especially at the time we're in now with the industry, and there are a lot of people that are dabbling in singing and rapping, and then you have like Afro swing. Basically, a lot of the genres are merging.
blending, innit?
100%.
Did you find it? Do you think it was basically more difficult for you before because we were so rigid in our genres? Like we only saw rappers as rappers and singers as singers.
Yeah, to be honest, I still feel like there is a little bit of that as well, even though we're moving on with the times. Like I always say that we need to normalise just calling people artists, because people try to put me in a box a lot of the time. Like even when I say I'm a rapper, people are like, oh, what do you do? Drill? And I'm like, no, I don't. I definitely don't, but I can if you need me to. I would say I do drill. Do you know what I mean? So people's minds always just go to that, and I think that's because that's kind of what's circulating at the moment. And then I see people's faces kind of drop when I'm like, no, I do like the melodic rap, because people are kind of listening to that sound right now. So people are like, oh, okay, are you really a rapper though? Or are you a singer? But I hate to be put in a box. That's why I always just say, look, I'm an artist, because when I want to come around and make like a soft tune, I'm going to do that. And if I want to now go hardcore, I'm going to do that. So
Yeah.
I do feel like it's the names that really do stop a lot of people kind of even going forward in a way. Because even myself as a poet, when I started to put it down to music, I remember a lot of my friends were like, so what, are you a rapper now? And I'm like, no,
still a poet.
Much, guys, isn't it?
like, it's just literally like it's
just a bit of
words that sound nice on a rhythm. Can we just not appreciate it? But people really want to they want to know how to kind of put it down.
That's for their own
Categories.
understanding.
But it's like,
it just
yo,
makes it easier
is
for
what
them
it is.
to say, okay, now I know where to place you in my mind of whatever's going on in it.
And who to put you next to.
Yeah, exactly. I can compare you now.
It's weird as well. Like, we can never just talk about artists without almost comparing them to other.
Always a comparison.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we don't have to do that, Like, we don't have to. Like, we don't have to. Have you ever?
No, we don't. Yeah,
basically,
you're right.
Just,
we don't have to. Yeah.
If we want to stop that, we can stop it now.
No, yeah, it's true.
But I mean, it could be nice in some senses if you're being compared to someone that's like great or sometimes whatever. But at the same time, it's like every artist is individual in a sense, and we all have inspirations.
No, it's true. Like even I think, especially in the UK, where there's like a small community of women on the scene right now, and they're always being put against each other, and I don't think they necessarily want to be put against each other, but it's like the culture that makes it happen. And then things kind of get riled up on social media when they see certain comments, and people might now want to defend themselves, and it becomes a bigger thing that was even caused basically on social media. Like I think something even happened back in the day with Brandy and Monica. Like they didn't even really have a beef before the fans created a beef and made it a thing, and it happens all the time, especially with women. So I'm kind of very nervous about those kind of things. I sometimes wonder, oh my God, like when I do branch out and make my music, who are people going to try and put me up against? But at the moment, all the women in the game that I've personally looked up to have been like nothing but nice. They've all been cool so far. So
hope it stays like
that.
Honestly,
I do hope so.
Like you're taking people's places, isn't it? Just
I've not sent out those vibes though at all. I've kind of sent out those vibes like I'm doing me, and I've always kind of stuck to that, and I think people get that. So I think that's why no one's tried to come at me so far.
Yeah.
But you're ready for it anyway. I know you're ready for it. I won't even say how I know already, but I know you're ready. I know you're ready for it.
But do you think though,
Lemzi sitting on a bad boy piece of information.
Bad boy piece of information. But do you think, because obviously, like the rap industry in general is very competitive anyway, and there are less females in there. I'm not saying that there's less rappers, like less female rappers, because there's an abundance of UK female rappers. But did you ever kind of feel like pressured in a way to kind of maybe go down a certain route or like look a certain way or change yourself to be taken seriously or anything like that? Did you kind of feel those pressures as being a female UK rapper?
So I've been in a situation where someone has tried to make me feel in that way. So one time I went to America, I went to New York, and I was supposed to be doing some shoots out there. There was prospects of me maybe signing a deal, but the guy that was presenting this opportunity to me told me that if I didn't basically sexualize myself, that I wouldn't sell. So me and him ended up getting into a big debate because I'm a true believer in, like, you know, I like to be sexy sometimes, do you know what I mean? But on my own
Terms.
own terms.
Yeah.
So I've never said, you know, I won't do up sexy, because that's not the case. I do enjoy it, but not on somebody else's terms. So when somebody's coming at me in that sense, I'm like, shut it down, don't want it, not cool. But he literally showed me videos of like loads of female artists before and after they'd sexualized themselves, and the numbers that had, like, the numbers of views going up basically. So like, look, if you do this will happen. Like, it's an instant thing. So that was kind of me going into the industry with that, someone telling me that, and he was kind of telling me, you know, if you don't do this, you're not going to make it, and I'll see you in the next year or so, and you'll still be doing exactly the same thing that you're doing now. So good luck if you don't want to take this opportunity. And I'm kind of really happy now that I just told him to fuck himself.
Yeah, exactly. For real.
You know what I mean?
Told him straight, like, you don't need to do that.
You know what it is though? That stuff really irritates me, because with that, we're leaving power down to the consumer. But then it's like, it's almost like a chicken and egg situation, because that's all we're giving them. And then therefore that's what they love, and then that's what we think that's what they love. But actually, we need to promote more images and just women being women. Like, not all of us. Absolutely what you said. Sometimes we want to do up sexy. Sometimes we just want to chill. Like, we just want to be ourselves.
That's
Firstly,
it. Really? That's it.
I know you're in the middle of this, but can I just say
I'm
also,
paying attention.
like,
I'm taking it in.
No, but women are born with boobs, yeah? So stop bloody... like, stop trying to, like... It's like, oh, because they're there, we have to be... They could be chilling behind a jumper. They could be chilling in a sexy top. Like, they're actually... Like, that's part of being a woman. We don't need to use every asset to be like, oh, look at me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am a woman, and that's that. And then whatever I do doesn't take away from how much of a woman I am.
No, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
One thing about being creatives and innovators, being creators and innovators, because that's essentially what you, myself, Amelia, that's what we all are in it. One of the key things that I remember Steve Jobs said is that consumers and the public don't actually know what they want until they get it.
Yep, that's a fact.
And they don't, until you push it on them, they don't think, oh yeah, this is exactly what I've been looking for, because they didn't know they were going to listen to this classic album until you gave it to them, for instance. So you just staying true to whatever your integral feelings are, I always salute that kind of thing, innit? Like, because I just know that just means, cool, you know. And as you were younger, innit, like, you can affirm and manifest these things for yourself, and you're not going to have to rely on this other guy who is in New York or whoever else maybe here in the UK asking you or trying to put you in a certain direction. It's like, nah, I'm Swagger Lesia, and this is what it means. And you as a consumer are going to take in how I define that, as opposed to allowing consumers to define that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So salute to you for that, because if someone like Steve Jobs is saying that's the pattern.
No, but look at grime though. Back in the day, we would have never seen grime on the platform it is now, because people were like, that would never get that far and whatever. And it took that perseverance and that can continue it. Like, people just doing it until it had to get recognised.
Because they felt it's right.
No,
so
it's
women
true.
Feel it's right.
They say
it's gonna get recognised.
They say do you until doing you is cool. Like, that's what I'm saying. You don't do anybody else, because what then happens
that's
is
so much better than fake it till you make it. Carry on.
Because, like, you can do somebody else, and, you know, that phase could easily play out, and then you're stuck in a place where you didn't necessarily want to be, but you did it because you thought that was what was on, and then your sound now gets put on, and you try to jump on that, and people are like,
yo,
what?
you're out of my box. Like, that ain't where I put you conveniently in my mind. I can't deal with this. Like,
exactly.
It is mad. It is mad. One thing you mentioned briefly earlier that I really kind of want to get into, if you're all right with that, is that you said you left one of your secondary schools to go to another one, and that was primarily because you were being bullied. What was that like? Like, what was it like to be in a space where you didn't feel comfortable because you were being bullied? And was there a time where you just thought, was it your decision to be like, okay, I'm leaving, I'm going to another place, or was it like your parents' decision, or was it the school's decision, etc.?
Do you know what? It was everyone's decision. It was like a big table with everybody on it.
Okay.
We need to like, kind of do something in this situation, because I got bullied up to a point where I ended up lashing out. So it was then like, okay, what has led to this situation? And then when it got spoken about, it was like, okay, the best thing to do is just to move her to another school. So when I did move, it was actually really refreshing, I'd say. Like, even though it was scary going into a new school in year 11, just before I was about to sit my GCSEs, it was kind of like a saviour moment for me in a way, because I'd gone from being in this school where I wasn't on track to get any GCSEs, and it's not because I didn't have, you know, the education. It just wasn't working. I wasn't focused enough to be able to achieve that. They had me doing foundation for everything, so I could only get a C. I'd already been kind of labelled as a kid that wasn't gonna make it. Do you get what I mean? So when I moved to this new school, I kind of got a fresh start, because they didn't see me as that kid, even though they had my file. Do you know what I mean? They took me on, and it was like a fresh start. My lowest grade was Spanish. So what they did is they made my tutor, my tutor was my Spanish teacher. So I literally had to be with her all the time. There was no getting away from Spanish. The classes were now 20 instead of 30, and just more attentive. It seemed like they just cared a lot more about my education. So I then managed to get all my GCSEs from not being on track to get any in 6 months.
That's good. So change of environment, though. Change of environment. But also there's something beautiful about a fresh start. Because then it's almost like you can then regain that control over, like, no, this is what I'm going. And you must have gone into the new school like, no, actually, I'm going into this like this. Yeah. And I'm going to actually keep control over this situation.
It was a fresh start for everyone, because, like, you know, my parents had gone through a lot with me, like whatever. My teachers had gone through a lot. I'd gone through a lot. And I think that was the moment when my parents was just like, they had a fresh start as well. They were just like, okay, we're going to send you to this new school. Whatever happened in the old school, we're not going to talk about it, and we'll just keep it moving. And I think for me, that was the best thing, because I was like, okay, my parents aren't mad at me. I'm just going to go to this new school, like made new friends on the first day, like, you know, it was really good. And I moved from a school in Walthamstow to an all-girls school. I moved from a school in Chinkford to an all-girls school in Walthamstow. Okay. And that school was predominantly like black people and Asian girls as well. So I felt like I saw a lot more people that looked like me, that I could relate to a lot more. So it was easier for me to even find friendships, because I just related to people a lot quicker than I did in Chinkford.
Did that determine anything for you in terms of like your music and your audience? Like, who you suss out to be, okay, I feel like you're going to resonate with what I'm doing?
In what sense? Sorry, I don't know if I understand.
So it sounds like your first school, it wasn't necessarily people that you would say were similar to yourself, innit? So when you moved to this Walthamstow, it sounds like Walthamstow for girls, innit? When you went to that school, it's like, okay, you feel like I can resonate with you because we have similar experiences, we look similar, we go through similar things. Do you find that with your music where it's like, okay, cool, because I've been in that space of, okay, I don't really fit in here, but I do fit in here, you know already, like, okay, this is where my audience is going to be, kind of thing?
Do you know what? I don't think so. Just because, like, when I moved to the school, I think they took me in a lot more. Like the first school, they just didn't want to take me in. But I don't think, maybe if I was like an outsider and they didn't know me and I came and spat those bars, whether they wouldn't have been my audience, they might have liked it. I think they genuinely just didn't like it because it was me. And these guys could hear it with a fresh ear and they kind of liked it. Because if I look at the demographic, like my music hits, I would say it still would hit those people, if you get what I mean. Okay. Demographic wise.
Yeah. We ain't gonna be PC here. Bro. You can say you like it. You're the white people. Yeah, exactly. Like it's fine. We know the real one. Majority market here in the UK. So if you're successful, you must be hitting that audience anyway. So, you know what I mean? So it's calm. It's calm.
Woo!
And then, don't worry. You're good. You're in good company right now.
So how was it also with a musical family, like in terms of your direction and stuff? And also, like, your dad is your manager. Like, what's that like?
It's
And
always
your mum
been
was an
really,
artist, right?
it's
Yeah.
always been really lit because, you know, I never got pushed into something I didn't want to do. Like, anytime I said, you know, I'm into music or I'm into drama or I'm, you know, into dance, my parents have always embraced that. So that's always been really lit. Like, I was able to go to study performing arts at college. I was able to study applied theatre and education at drama school. So because I have always been able to do what I want to do, I've never wanted to like drop out of anything. Like, so for example, with university, when I did start finding it really hard in second year, I had to think to myself, well, this is what I wanted to do. So me leaving it, it's all on me kind of thing. So yeah, it's always the fact that I've had that support with my creative stuff that I'm doing has always made me just want to persevere and like really hit the top with it.
Because it must be nice as well, because you hear a lot of people or a lot of artists talking about like maybe their parents don't get it, why they want to go. Because also the industry, I mean, the music industry, entertainment industry is not very stable.
No.
And a lot of parents be like, oh my God,
my
don't.
God.
Do you know what it is? My parents 100% do worry about me because I'm quite a sensitive person.
Okay.
And I'm a bit of an empath, so like things do get to me, like I take on people's emotions and whatnot. So I think my parents have had the worry that, you know, this industry might be a bit hard for me. You know, my dad's always telling me it's a game of snakes and sharks. Like, he's always told me that because I think he's known that I wanted to get into the industry. So he literally is always letting me know, like, people are going to be cool, but make sure you just know, like, that you're one step ahead because so you might be having a conversation with someone, but their intention might not be, you know, in line with what your intention for the conversation is. So you've always got to bear that in mind with this industry. So I think, yeah, because I've had my parents to be able to give me that advice, I kind of always go into situations, you know, knowing what needs to be done. And that's why, even though that New York situation did shake me up a little bit, I was prepared in a way, and it didn't throw me off my game. I knew how to get myself out of that situation safely because mentally I was prepared for someone to turn at any point, really.
Because that's actually what the game is like, innit? I've been saying to a few people recently, the game is rigged. And I don't even mean it in a way where it's like,
No, but
don't trust anyone. But I just mean it in like a case of there's always going to be some obstacle that's going to make you feel like you're not worthy of going for the thing that you truly believe that you want to go for, innit? So keep fighting. Like, the only way you'll know that you're meant to get to that place is if you beat those challenges each time, innit? So testament to you again, like the fact that you're here, the fact that you've beaten New York, the fact that you've beaten any kind of school, anything like that is sick. In terms of like those type of challenges, I remember one thing that you said before was not necessarily here, but I've heard you say this before, is that anxiety was like one of these challenges that you've had to kind of overcome. Do you feel that with anxiety you developed it because of the reaction you got from your music maybe, or was it a case of you maybe just had anxiety and just dealing with that through music? How you did that?
Do you know what? I think it's hard for me to say when my anxiety started because there's times where I try to think about it and I feel like there were signs like a long time ago, but it just hadn't really like presented itself because I maybe wasn't put in social situations where I was triggered. So I'd say secondary school is where I started noticing. Because I guess I didn't notice I had anxiety until I grew up and looked back and was like, okay, this is anxiety. Do you get what I'm saying? So my thing is that I would rap to people. Some people would say it was good, but then I would hear like people saying that it was shit behind my back. It was the fact that I was getting bullied. So I didn't really have anyone to like really talk to because I didn't know who was cool, who wasn't. So obviously that creates a situation where you're on edge a lot of the time. And then I guess that feeling just never really went. So it's always me in the back of my head, like, okay, I've written this song and I think it's good. This person said it's good, but do they really think it's good? And it's always like these constant thoughts of that. And I think it just kind of got worse as I got older.
What do you feel has been like your coping mechanisms for that?
That Ray, yeah.
I'm in a place where I could literally just do this right now and be like, I'm just listening.
Yeah, sorry, Uncle Ray.
Uncle Ray. I'm the nephew right now, innit? But no, for real, like, what have you found is your coping mechanism just for, I guess, the constant stream of thoughts that come with external opinions and external stimulus and everything. And then but I guess a lot of that becomes internalized as well. Once you start feeling like, okay, this must be a truth just because 2, 3, 4 people might have said it. Like, what have you done?
Do you know what? Like, it's interesting because I would say that my peak, like I hit peak anxiety like just before I went on to Rap Game. So that moment was really hard for me, knowing I was about to go on TV, but I was very, very anxious, and like the constant thoughts were in there all the time, like literally, like it can be all day sometimes, like it's really crazy. And I think it was only halfway through Rap Game I realised that I couldn't basically go on this way. I couldn't win this competition. I think I came home and I reflected that it was such a big opportunity, and I was letting my anxiety kind of ruin the situation for me a little bit. Like I was flopping, like the clash, I had bars, but then because of what he was saying and the situation, I again let the anxiety take over me. So I had to come back and say, okay, cool, I've been given this opportunity. I've now had a moment to say, okay, cool, we're in a pandemic, but I now have a couple of months to really like come back and like grab this situation like by... You know what I mean? Listen. So I had to come home and meditate, and I had to listen to affirmations.
Put that in a bar as well.
I did, because that's literally what I had to meditate to get to where I am. Listen, because I literally did. I started listening to affirmations every day. So it's just like, I'm saying it back, you know, I am this, I am that, I have this, do you know what I mean? So once you do that every day, you do start to believe it, your self-esteem does start to go up. So I will say, like, start listening to affirmations
100%.
because people DM me all the time and they're like, what did you do to come back? The swagger Lesia, you switched it, completely different person. And I'm like, affirmations, meditation.
But literally, just before we get into Rap Game, because
we have to,
But I think it's so interesting when we talk about anxiety, especially like in the industry, because I think it's riddled with anxiety.
100%.
But it's natural though, because just before you go on stage or anyone hears your stuff, it's that adrenaline pumping around your body. And I think we just naturally... we kind of forget that it's just a natural reaction to those kind of things, and we let it overcome us sometimes, and then we kind of think, oh, it's going to overpower me, or I'm going to whatever. But I think it's just that it's that switch of like, actually, no, it's here to kind of make sure I'm on form. Do you know what I mean?
It was even my dad. I think I called him after one of the challenges and I was like, I flopped. Like, I don't know how this competition's going to go. Like, I'm here. I've embarrassed myself. Like... it's crazy. And he was kind of just like to me, look, when you've written a song and you come to me and you're excited to show me this tune because you just made this piece of art, you're not stumbling, because he doesn't listen to my bars unless I remember them. So if I'm still looking at my phone, he's like, no, go away, remember it and come back. So sometimes I'll be trying to remember it quickly because I want to show him the song. Do you know what I mean? So he's like, yeah, once you do that, you're not stressing. So it's the same way when you see Krept, Conan and Target. You've written this song, you're excited to show them this piece of art. So just forget that it's a competition, really. And that's basically what got me through, just trying to like reposition my mind of how I was thinking about the performance.
That makes sense, man. Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
You have to go into your safe space or your comfort zone to actually be able to like showcase what you're really, really good at.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of just staying around this kind of area, in terms of where you see music and the music industry, do you feel like there's enough that's being done to support people mentally? Because this is a hard place. That's a hard place to try and make a living. Like as independent contractors or artists or creatives or whatever we do decide to call ourselves, like there are so many challenges, whether it is looking at contracts and making sure the contract's not bumping you, whether it is networking with who you might deem to be the right people, but who might not actually have any long-term benefits for you, all this kind of stuff. So do you look at it and think, okay, things are set up in a way where if I do start feeling that sense of anxiety again, like it's not just my parents I can rely on, there's infrastructure for me to kind of tap into. Do you see that at all?
No, I don't think the industry is even easy for artists, and I think you have to have like such a thick skin to go into it, and I think you need to know that it's not easy before you do step into it. But it would be nice if more was being done. Because the industry is hard. Like you've got people getting bumped all the time. Like I saw a situation with Ivory and Dole, like literally crying on social media because the people that she's trusted with her career are now the ones that are holding her back. And we see a lot of that. Like it goes back again to the snakes and the sharks. Do you know what I mean? Like you think someone's out to help you, and then you find out a couple of years later that they're not. And I think, I don't know, I think for there to be change, the people, I feel like it's the people that are creating the issues, they need a bit of a mindset change, because they're the ones that are kind of hurting the artists that are coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I was actually saying this the other day to a friend of mine who's an A&R, and I was like, you need to be having holistic management.
Especially
You
in
need
big
to be
record
providing
companies.
some of these artists where, one, you're kind of taking them from, they've been doing their thing, and now you're going to be like, right, we're going to kind of set you up with a contract that's going to boost your career. Where's the holistic support with that?
Yeah, for
because
real.
a lot of artists, especially, if you hear what they're talking about, have been through
the
it.
struggle.
Like, they need some therapy. They need some reflective practice. They need something like that for the longevity of their career. Because I do feel like, I know we're always like, it's a tough industry. It's a very unhealthy industry, and we need to change this.
That's
It
it.
shouldn't
And
be
you've
like,
got-
it's not for the faint heart. No.
Yeah.
It
shouldn't be that way.
It
It
should
should be.
everybody.
be for everyone.
Because a lot of the people as well, like a lot of artists that I know have come from a difficult place, and they've started using their art as an expression, and then people pick up on that. They love the art. And that's how they end up becoming musicians. Because even with me, I don't know if I've like actively really even been putting tunes out to become a musician. It's been a lot of people kind of seeking me out to do things, and I think that happens with a lot of artists. And then you kind of get chucked in the deep end, and then there isn't that support. There's sometimes situations where maybe you might put out a project, that project might do well, but then your next project might not do so well. So then you've been like this sought after artist, and then your platform now drops. And I don't think there's enough support with that, because I know a lot of artists find that hard, and that can lead to depression and anxiety, because you might think people are talking about you because you were up, now you're down. Like, the game is a bit crazy. I don't think there is enough support at all.
And we need to change that by having these conversations.
That's it, innit? Just open
Basically.
dialogue, innit? Just
You
have
know,
a
I
little
think
chat.
that we need to be more transparent in this industry, because a lot of it is like, especially before social media, it's like an artist just pops up and it's like, I've made it, and you don't see that struggle. And even now, we do have social media, and it is down to what the artist wants to put out. And there's some artists that are a lot more transparent about their journey. But there are a lot of young people that want to get into it that don't understand that middle time and what it's going to take.
If anyone needs an example, you just have to look at Rams. And Rams is a very, very young guy, and he probably knew that he was making a great song with Barkin that would resonate with some people, but he probably didn't realize how big
It was going to be.
that was going to be. And then I just remember, as an objective viewer, just seeing him being thrust on
Bullied.
stages in front of people.
Oh,
Like,
sorry.
no, that's cool. But yeah, that
Yeah.
also happens in the industry. But I remember seeing, he performed at, I think it was Wembley or at Capital. And I just thought, this is like 80,000 people. The guy has one song. He's never done anything
He's never
before.
done anything like this before.
Do you think that he's able to cope with this?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and
And then
if
it's him taking the brunt of it.
Exactly.
It's not his team. No one sees them.
Exactly.
It's him that has to take the brunt of it, when actually someone should have been preparing him for that, or whatever, or at least noticing that he's not ready for it.
And I don't think as well, like, the consumers think about things like that. So
Not at
then you just see them getting like bullied online, and it's only the point where Rams actually came and said, look, I'm suicidal, that people then decided to change their tune on how they
Exactly.
treated him as an artist.
So what I'd say as well, just to, with Rams as well, one thing about him that was sick was that it seemed like he took time out, and he stepped away from it because he knew his mental stability it was fragile at that time, innit? So he stepped away, and he's come back. He's kind of rebranded himself a bit, and I think, cool, you must have been through it enough and got through it. That's the main thing, got through it to the point where you say, I can tackle this challenge again, and I can come back out and do this again. But
And I think that reminds us, though, that because I know when we think of businesses, they put out products, they put out things that are not humans, basically, like your Bill Gates or anyone owning Apple. They're putting out phones. Like, who cares about the phone's feelings? But now, like, this is an industry where it's the people that are the product. So we need to make sure that they are okay.
no, you can't just upgrade the
That's
person.
not
Like, it's
because
not
I don't
happening.
know if artists that blow like that get psychologists. Because I know me coming off rap game, we have a psychologist like every step of the way, and I had to use her like quite a bit, because even before like rap game came out, when they put the promo out, people were saying things like, I was excited for rap game until I saw these lot, like what's this going to be? And the show hadn't even started
what I
yet.
mean?
No, but I just think they're they're just born like.
They just want to be mad. I just want to be mad at something. Innit?
That's what
Okay,
I'm
rap game
saying.
promo. This will do today, innit? It's like,
So it's
fam,
just bare hate
go
and
read your Daily Mail, whatever it is, innit? Like,
Get on Facebook. Like, I said they all belong on Facebook.
yeah, it's like, oh, just angry people, man.
Honestly.
Negative people.
and because I'd been in my own like social media bubble, I've never really had haters on social media. I wouldn't say like no one's ever said anything like really horrible to me on social media. So this was my first time ever experiencing that. But there was an error kind of made on Rap Game's part because they offered us to speak to the psychologist, but there's certain points in which we're supposed to speak to psychologists because they kind of know when the pressure points are going to be.
Right,
So the week before, that when they announced who the artists were going to be, we should have had a conversation so that they could have prepared us for that. So I was really anxious, like seeing all of that stuff online. But then after I had that conversation with her, she then gave me all the tools that I needed to deal with that. So I felt very equipped. And now anytime I see any hate comments on social media, I know exactly how to deal with them and I don't take them on. But it's because I was prepared for that. Someone prepared me. And I don't know whether artists that haven't been on a TV show and they just make a song and they blow have that kind of support, which I think would be helpful.
Can I ask, what did your psychologist say to you? What was their
Of course,
advice?
you want that free info, innit?
Yeah,
What did she say?
Well, first of all, she broke down the psychology of trolls.
Okay.
So the fact that people who say negative things about other people online are not in a good space within themselves.
Yeah.
So it's no reflection on what you've done or what you're putting out. It's a reflection on them. And more time, you're going to get 10 nice comments. But with our psychology, we will see that one negative comment and there's a part in our brain that gets triggered and will fixate on that one negative comment even though there's 10 nice ones. So she said, once you understand that psychology, you already just say, okay, that's just one comment, just keep it moving, honestly. So that helped quite a lot, just being able to know. Because sometimes you sit there and you think, oh, this person's being really mean to me. They're at home, they've watched it, they just thought I was shit. But it's not that, like they're just at home kind of feeling shit about
bored, like,
themselves.
innit, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
They're probably mad that they're not there, basically. That's most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, they're jealous.
and then she broke down the people that might have applied for Rap Game but didn't get it. Like there's loads of different things. And then she said, you know, you might also just not be for everybody and you also need to be ready for that.
Facts.
So
That is a super fact. That goes to the audience thing, innit? That's why I was kind of asking it, like, no one is for everybody, innit?
Exactly.
Like Jay-Z's, Rihanna's, Beyonce, whoever, no one's for everybody. So like kind of like navigating consumers and finding your space and finding your tribe, especially with a sound like yours where you're very, my interpretation of it anyway, is that it's very jazzy, neo-soul-y. That's like the essence of it. Obviously it goes everywhere else, but that's the essence of it. And we know this UK industry is not really built at the moment
for that
to properly like support or like help those artists thrive. Yeah, I guess that's just my point, isn't it? I didn't have a question that led on from that. It's just I get where you're coming from a lot of it, because I feel like we're similar in that sense. Like all of us here have that nature of like, we want to do something that's not conventional. Like we build outside of the formats and the structure in it. So I guess that's also why I was very interested to see if there was any specific advice that like your psychologist has said, just because there will be a lot of people who see what you do or hear what you do and think, this isn't what I'm used to. So because I don't understand it, I'm just gonna lash out at it. Yeah.
Like, because there are a lot of people who, as well, it's like, I've gone on to Rap Game, but I've done a lot of melody. So some people who are like the diehard rap fans, they don't like me because
trust me.
they're like, they want to see Shogun like barring. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to hear melodics.
Yeah.
So you've got those people as well. But then
sad people, man.
you know,
Sorry.
But I've not caught. You know, I feel like I got over prepared for the hate that was supposed to come. So I'm happy about that because it wasn't as bad as what I expected it to be. I think I came across as, you know, likable enough. So
And now we're gonna get into it. Now.
I was thinking, like, I feel like we've mentioned rap game so much that we have to
Let's
just go
get
into the rap game.
Yeah,
Innit?
let's get into rap game. So